In March 2020, the federal government introduced the COVID Safe Harbour provisions, offering temporary relief to financially stressed businesses during COVID. Those provisions operated in parallel to the existing Safe Harbour provisions that were introduced back in 2017. Welcome to the latest edition of Call to Account. I'm Paul Croft, and with me today is Hannah Griffiths, the Head of Restructuring and Insolvency at Gilchrist Connell. Today she'll be sharing her insights into the existing and COVID Safe Harbour provisions, as well as providing some practical insights for directors who may be seeking to rely on the Safe Harbour provisions as defences to insolvent trading. Welcome, Hannah. How are you?
Thank you, Paul. Great to be here.
Thanks for joining me. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Before we jump into it, I think it might be great if you were to contrast the existing Safe Harbour provisions with those that operated during COVID.
Yes, certainly. So an essential ingredient for the COVID Safe Harbour is whether or not the debts incurred during the period of time that the legislation provides, being from the 25th of March 2020 until 31 December 2020, were in the ordinary course of business. So that is an essential key to the COVID Safe Harbour. There were no other eligibility criteria set in respect of the COVID Safe Harbour.
Right. And of course, the ordinary course of business in the middle of a pandemic is probably going to be quite different to the ordinary course of business outside of the pandemic.
Yeah, correct. I mean, it's quite extraordinary, really.
Correct.
In terms of what was going on for businesses during that time. It's difficult to provide any precise indication of what would be considered to be the ordinary course of business, and certainly we don't have judicial guidance on what that might be. The explanatory memorandum attached to this legislation, the Omnibus Act, doesn't provide any greater insight either, so we're left with what does ordinary mean.
Yeah.
Whilst the jury's out on what it must mean, most lawyers are sort of the view that ordinary means the ongoing trade of a business without additional expenditure taken on. So, for example, a business needs to trade by paying its employees, remitting their tax, and ensuring that their suppliers or contracts are serviced. It would be considered unordinary or extraordinary for a business to acquire large items of plant or equipment or rapidly expand their business. They may not be considered ordinary within the meaning of this legislation.